Hello guys, welcome to my channel. Today I wanted to show you two of the most important tools that the DevOps use on their daily work. So one of them is Docker. So Docker is used usually directly or indirectly. Indirectly meaning that Docker can be used within other tools like Kubernetes. Kubernetes is another technology that is used to manage Docker containers and to manage, basically Docker containers within a cluster. Today I wanted to show you that because I think it's very important for a beginner DevOps to know at least those tools. One of those, like I said, is Docker. The other is Linux. So Linux is a little bit more complete and more complex. It's something that for sure DevOps should know how to manage, at least doing the basic commands and run basic investigations and do some type of troubleshooting when needed. Usually applications are contained within that type of operating system. So Linux is basically the most used operating system out there, mainly because it's most of the time it's not paid. We have like Red Hat and so on that are paid, but in a general sense most of the companies just use Ubuntu or CentOS to run their daily workload. So yeah, today is basically a quick demonstration of stuff that we can make with those tools. The idea is that we want to use the Docker and run a Ubuntu image, and then run some basic investigation, or run some basic commands to show you the possibilities. So without further ado, let's start. In here you are seeing a basic shell. I already have installed Docker on my machine. Okay, if you don't have Docker installed on your machine, just for testing purposes, you can install it. So when you run it, you will be presented with a CLI, like a GUI, like so, and then you can interact with it. Today I will be using this CLI. Okay, so I will be using the Docker commands. You can see that you can run various different commands in there. You can build images. So yeah. If you don't have that installed, you can easily open your browser and search for Docker. And then you can install it in here, like so. So if you click on the download button, it will install it for you. You will have to accept some prompts. So yeah, so how to start? So usually for a Docker container to run, you'll have to have a file that describes what you want. So a file will have basically the operating system that you want, the information of the operating system, if you want to install some specific files in there, if you want to run some specific commands for the preparation of your, let's say, operating system. And then you'll have basically an operating system to test your and to study. So the idea is that we do exactly that. So we can open VS Code. I will open a specific folder that I already created called course. Okay. I can create a file there named Docker file. I will just, for now, I will be just I want to open a folder, not this. Select folder. Okay. I am inside the folder. I will remove this file. I don't want it. Remove to the recycle bin. Yes. And then I want to minimize this stuff. New file called Docker file. Okay, and now you want to run. This will be basically your startup script or file, and then what we want. So we want first to say which operating system we want to use. Okay, so for that we can also install Docker. Okay, we already have that installed. It's good. So it's always nice to have this, let's say, extension for Docker. It will autocomplete and help you a little bit on the file preparation. So we can start by saying the operating system that we want, or the image that we want. Okay. Let's say Ubuntu. We can just run the latest just for now. Okay, we can also say the version. Let's say if we want a specific version, 18, I think it's the 18, and then CMD. Or we can run specific commands inside for that you have you can see all the stuff that you can put inside the Docker file. Docker file, Docker file reference, and in here you have some information and all the commands that you can run. Okay. So on the right you can put the command run, so that you imagine that you want to run, let's say, apt update. This command will update your operating system, will push the latest version of packages to be installed. We want to run the next command. Just so you know, it's best to do it like this. So you put a I on the to basically add the next command. You can also put, let's say, ran apt upgrade, but if you do this is not the best practice. Okay, so I would suggest that you remove the apt upgrade from here and put it here, just so that you are compliant with the best stuff. You can also put here this stuff if you want to put it on the next line, not here, here, so that you can press enter and push to the next line, so that it is more like a command. We'll leave it like that. We don't want any fancy stuff. Let's see if we can put some extra CMD. We can use the CMD. Also, the CMD will run some commands on the runtime of the container. Okay. You can also expose some ports if you want. If you have an application running, that will not be the case for now. Okay. You can also mess with volumes. You can copy stuff from outside the virtual machine to the inside of the virtual machine, or the image. Okay. With the commands, I think it's, let's see, I think it's copy. Yeah, copy. Then you have a bunch of other stuff. Okay. But for now, I think it's like that. Docker file. I have here some examples. You can run the hello world. You can run some other stuff. And here it explains that you can use the image name just so that you know where the image names are. Docker hub. You can find which images you can use on your, so in here on the top, if you want to use, let's say, Ubuntu, it's in here, and you can use all of this. It's basically the supported tags. You can use the latest, which is in here. So our latest is pointing to the 22.04 version of Ubuntu. We can use the 18.04. Let's use that one. Actually, it's very good. And we can use all of these code names: Bionic 2023-0308, so on, so on. We can use the 18.04. It's the most used on companies. It will be deprecated soon, but well. That's it. So basically, this is the basic Docker file. You don't need anything else. Okay. And now you can just run basic Docker commands. If we open in here terminal, let's see if we have the Docker installed in here or reachable. Yes. Now we can run Docker run I think we can use the Docker run Docker file. So yeah, you can first build the image. You can run the Docker build. and the file name, docker file. Okay, you have to say the directory. So to start, you just type docker run or docker build. It will compile everything. It will create an image. This will take a little bit of time because we are doing the apt update and apt upgrade, so it is basically it's basically pushing everything to the image. Oh yes, we forgot something. The Y. So the Y is to force accept the update. So since we are running these commands on the actual, it's not user interactive. We are running it in the background. We need to force the acceptance of the update. So in normal situation, maybe you click in yes to approve. In this situation, we don't do it. Okay. Everything happens behind the scenes, and it's done. So now the next step is to run the docker image ls to show the images. So we created this image some seconds ago. We want to use it now. Docker, if I know how to type, docker run minus image ID is this one, and now we want to say the image ID. It's important so that he knows which image we want to use when we start the run command. And now we are on the machine. Okay, so you know that you are on the machine because you see this gibberish. It's like you are connected to a server with a user root. So the first half of the hat is the user, so we are root, and this is the ID, usually the name of the server, but we have an ID here. Let me just close this, and then we can start to run some Linux commands. Okay, so basically we can say htop. We don't have htop installed, we can run top. Usually this command is ran, so basically now is the time where we enter the Linux stuff. Okay, so the first step was just to start a container. So right now we have a container running, so the first step is done. The next step is to start messing with the Linux commands and see if we can do some type of basic investigation. Okay, so so the idea here is to start you on the Linux path. Okay, so the first command you already saw, the top. Usually the system administrators and the DevOps engineers run the top command to see the CPU and memory utilization. Okay, we also have a more user-friendly command that is similar to top, which is the htop. Okay, the htop is more user-friendly. It shows you with colors and so on. We can install it. So to install packages on the Linux, on Ubuntu, you can run the apt install htop. So because we didn't put the Y in here, it will ask you, or not. So it's already installed very quickly. And you can see that the htop is a little bit more user-friendly. It shows you the memory, the swap, and all the cores that are being used on the container. Okay, so right now in here you are inside a container looking at all the cores. So because this laptop is a 4-core quad core, you'll see 4 cores. Okay. So you see the memory, 4.5 gigabytes. Not very fast machine, but for the purpose it works. So the next command is you can run the mem command. No, you can't. You can run the ls command to see the directories that you have on the current directory where you are in. So right now we are on the root directory. So this slash shows you that you are on the root. If you want to go to the home directory, it's like this character, and you can see that we have nothing on the home directory. We can see which users we have created on this machine with home directory created. If we go to the /home, because we are root, we can do this. We don't have any users besides the user root. So this is basically it. One other directory that, so if we check the directories that we have, so let's make a breakdown of the directory. So the var directory usually contains variable stuff, so usually contains logs and some other information about some blogs basically. Another directory is the home that I already shared, so it contains information about users, so all the content that the users have on their own directories. So that's it. The OPT usually is reserved for application stuff, so if you have an application, and the /opt is the directory that you'll use to put all the contents of the applications that you are hosting. Okay, so don't leave it on the home directory, don't leave it on the temp directory that we have here. So if we go to the list again, we have a TMP directory. Don't leave it there. Usually it's contained within the OPT directory. Okay, any application that you have, like a web app or something. So another directory is the etc. Okay, etc usually contains stuff about the system, so services. We have a directory for services, or the shadow file contains passwords for the various users. If we go there, cat shadow, usually so it's the users that we have. We can also check the groups with the file group. So everything is in a Linux. In Linux is a file, even folders. If you the cat command is to show contents of files usually, but you can also see the contents of folders, which are files. The cat shows, it says it's a directory, but I'm sure we can allow, I'm sure we can read the contents of go print shadow. Well, I was sure we could read the contents of a folder, but apparently not on the 18 or on Ubuntu. I'm sure that on Red Hat it's possible. So yeah, that's it for the etc for now. As said, Linux also, it's inside the etc. It's for firewalling configurations, because Ubuntu already has firewall configured. Yeah, we have a bunch of stuff inside the etc. We have hosts, the hosts file, that is the hosts and the host name. The host name contains information about the host name of the machine if you want to read it. Not here. etc cat host name. The host name of the machine. The hosts file contains addressing information, naming of the various localhosts. So localhost is here. If we try to ping localhost, so ping, it's basically a command that lets you check the availability of some virtual machine. Yeah, so basically it sends, it's more networking related. It sends basically a packet, a request to other machine. It's like an address letter, a letter that is sent to other server, and checks the availability. Okay, if we ping our own machine that says localhost, ping is not installed in here. apt install ping. Maybe it's not exactly that name. yeah, packet ping doesn't exist. IP unit ping, inet. Okay, we can install it, saying that we can use the other packet that contains ping. Yeah, we want it. Just so you guys know, usually in companies we don't just run commands and install stuff on servers, okay? Usually it goes through an approval process, yeah, so it's not exactly like I'm doing, okay? And if I try to run the ping command, now it says it's available, it's contactable, okay? So that's because we are contacting our own servers, okay? So the ping is the basic command that usually people run to check availability. Not always works because there are some limitations. When you are in the company, usually you block the ping so that people internally doesn't contact services that are not yeah, without a reason, so, okay, so without approval. So the next stuff that we want to do, or the final stuff, it's basically see logs, okay, on the machine. Usually logs are the most done task that a DevOps engineer slash system admin does. It revolves around a lot around debugging. So yeah, fun stuff. We'll go to the var that I already said it's log. It's the var, it contains the log stuff, okay? Logs are files that contain information about what the applications are doing. When we have an error on some application, usually that information is written to logs, and some logs that we have here are really basic logs, but one of the examples that we have in here is the fail log, let's say. Fail log. We can cat this. It's not sure it's, yeah, it's, let's see if the cat works. So it's empty, but if we go to the deep package log, it's huge, so you'll see a lot of information there. Not this one, the deep package. So you'll have there information. If it is an application running, you should have exceptions. Usually when you look at application logs, you'll have exceptions to check, okay? We can try to install something like an application like Nginx. Some basic Nginx just to test stuff. So the usual apt install commands, so nothing fancy. No, this is going to install. It will not do anything, okay? It's just to for you guys to see one application log that is very used, okay? So Nginx is a very well-known application that runs in companies to redirect web pages and do a bunch of stuff. Maybe if we go here, we already have an Nginx log, systemctl, systems, service status Nginx service. I was service status on to see the availability of everything. So we want the service Nginx starts. We want to start Nginx starting. So we started the service. The service is basically an application that runs, okay? But it's not only an application. It's an application that runs, and usually it has a set of features built in. Okay, so if the service goes down, it has a set of features that restarts itself so that it doesn't stay down, it goes up. So the idea is that we started it. Okay, so if we check the service Nginx status, we can also see the functionality of it, if it is working or not. And if it is working, we should be able to go to the var log and see already some activity on the active cat access log. Oh, because we didn't make any stuff. cd etc Nginx another command that I will run now is to check I want to check the port that Nginx is using. Okay, so I can run netstat doesn't exist, so apt install netstat. Netstat is another great tool that's usually what? Netstat doesn't exist. So usually Netstat exists. Usually it's good for checking which services and ports are open. Now I will look at the processes and see that Nginx is running. Okay, you can see which port Nginx is using by going to the configuration. If we can't simply check the port availability, we can go to the etc Nginx cat Nginx conf. The Nginx conf is a config that it's basically a config that starts everything. And if we take a look, we'll see that we have an access log, an error log, we already saw that, and then we can check the ports that Nginx is using. pwd confd, doesn't have anything. CD sites available. The default file, and we have theoretically a port 80 open. So if we curl http localhost, that we already saw that is pointing to the own machine, It's the address, the name that is given internally to the machine. Oh, we don't have curl also. apt install curl. Yes. Okay, so the curl is installed. Curl command is used to contact servers with HTTP requests. So we make an HTTP request to the localhost, and we have a response from the Nginx. Welcome Nginx. And then we can see on the logs Nginx, the request that we made. So if we cat the access log, we saw that some dude with the IP 127.0.0.1, which is us. Okay, so this address, so this number is called IP, and it's basically us that made the request at this time. We made a get request, that is simply when we run the curl, simply we are getting something, right? And we are just making a simple request, and it's here. And this number 200, it says that we had a successful response. So if we try to run a bunch of curls, we see on the log now that we have a bunch of requests made by us, and it was successful. So that's it for today. You saw successfully how to install Docker, how to run a Docker file, how to build a basic Docker file, and you also saw some basic Linux commands that are used by everyday DevOps engineers. I hope you liked, and hope this video will help you starting some basic let's say project for let's say study if you want. Thank you, and see you on the next video.